So we'll call this meeting of the Parole Board on July 30th, 2024 to order. And the first order of business is to review the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? None.
I didn't see any.
Got nothing else to add or delete, MJ?
I don't think so,
Okay.
unless you can think of anything. Had a hard enough time coming up with this much.
That's enough. That's enough. I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as written then.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are 4 in favor and 3 absent.
Oh, we do have a quorum, so
Mhm.
perfect.
Okay. Let's review our minutes from our last meeting. I mean, everyone's had a chance to review them. Are there any suggested corrections or changes?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
A second.
Thank you. Motion's made and seconded to accept the minutes from our last meeting of June 25th, 2024. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. 4 in favor and 3 absent. Thank you, Colby. Good job. Staff meeting recordings, MJ.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick. So Colby and I have worked on a solution. I haven't completely got the, just bear with me for 1 second. Tom is calling. Yeah. Hey, Tom. Okay, just a second.
He's here.
I didn't see him walk by the window, but I wasn't watching, I guess.
Because I had fun doing this. This is what my degree is in, so I enjoy it.
Oh, really? Good. Hey, Tom.
Greetings.
Uneventful, or
Tom, before you go too far.
how far am I gonna go?
I don't know. Off of my
Only
arm
about
reach.
6 feet.
More than my arm reach.
So Tom, we're just starting the staff meeting recordings part of the
Okay.
agenda.
Alrighty,
We
So
noticed your absence.
tractor trailer then.
I passed it too.
How did you pass it?
Well, I had to wait until I got.
She drives faster.
It must be.
No, I had to wait. They had closed one of the lanes and I could get through the other lane,
Ah,
but I had to wait my turn and they let the other
on the
side.
river
go.
road, okay.
Maybe her
Yeah.
passing was what caused the crash.
That could be, you know,
Did they removed all the crushed cars?
Yeah.
They had.
that's what I was waiting for.
Oh,
So we couldn't put the staff meeting recordings on our website. It doesn't allow for it. So we reached out to ADS and they said YouTube is one place that we could put them. So we made a parole board YouTube account similar to like the legislature's accounts and so
Yeah.
forth. And this is where we're gonna post these. We'll have a little, I haven't quite got the blurb on our website that I want to put on there around these and how to get to them. But Colby created the YouTube page last week.
Awesome.
And this is
Good
what we're gonna
job,
do.
Colby.
So if you search on YouTube.
Vermont
just
Parole
Vermont
Board,
Parole
and
it'll
it'll
bring up
go
meetings and
right
to
there.
select the date.
That's interesting.
And so
That's scary.
So we only have to keep, by open meeting law, we have to keep a recording for 30 days after the final minutes,
Right.
starting after July 1. So technically June's meeting didn't need to be on YouTube. We are testing it out. But starting with this meeting, it has to be on until at least 30 days after the final minute. So it would be up to 30 days after September's meeting
So then you
or
purge-
October's meeting.
purge them at that point.
That's up to you if you want to, that's up to the board if you want us to purge them or if you want to just leave them on as transparency.
there was no the part of the open meeting law never included a requirement for video.
No, it just put in this legislative session.
Evolving with technology.
Yes.
I will say we can purge them, but anything online can be gotten
Oh, I know.
Rarely.
Once it's online, it's
I
there
can-
somewhere, so.
Like, if I deleted this today, I could still find it using a couple different websites, so. We can absolutely purge, but it could still be found.
Anybody have any thoughts one way or the other on it?
They say purge,
Agree?
Okay.
Or you have written minutes
the
that,
30-day window for the idiots to make an issue out of it after that. Let them.
Then they'll have to go
let them
hunting.
Find it like Colby says.
We leave our minutes on our
Yeah.
website.
All
Yeah.
the time.
The other thing I need to find out about I need to talk with Lori about, and I haven't yet, is that technically all of our hearings are open meetings,
Mhm.
and do we need to post those? Or is it just staff
Would the
meetings?
new law to say we have to post them?
I don't know, being that, I don't know we've never,
Yeah.
because we don't post our schedules with the decisions. So I need to delve into that a little bit deeper because those are technically open meetings too. So
well, hearings are all posted.
The schedules are posted. We
Yeah.
don't post decisions or anything like that, which would be the final minutes, I would
Content.
assume.
right.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
And we don't, so we've had enough on our plate.
Yeah,
We'll
Yeah.
get this part and then down the rabbit hole.
but those hearings are documented, so if there
Yes.
was a request, it would be easy to provide that.
We provide it all the
Yeah.
time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, requests, audios and videos.
So this will be the first one posted on there, or was?
This was the test, so today's would be the first full
Okay.
video posted, yes.
You need a motion
No,
to purge?
this is,
No?
This
Oh.
informational.
Okay,
yeah, this is just informational and I don't think we need a motion around purging.
okay.
Because that was my assumption is what we were gonna do from what we talked about last month.
Is everyone else in agreement with that?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
So it's just more show and tell than,
Yeah. Thanks for doing that. Okay, we got some interesting updates on the manual. Okay.
so I was tasked last month to propose a new table of contents before a lot of work began. So in your packet and in the packet is two different documents. One is the draft suggested table of contents and one is the current table of contents. That's why I put a watermark on them so you could easily tell the difference. What I did was I tried to more group it because I was going through, it took me history last month and I did go through the statute and realized that the statute's all over the place too. I'm looking at more of ease of DOC staff when they're reviewing it, ease of us a little bit, and that's why I kind of was looking at chapters and sub-chapters, kind of like the statutes are, and moving things around. And if you want me to go through a little bit of what I did, I can do that, if that would be
Yeah, that'd
easiest.
be great.
Okay. So the first chapter I'm proposing is like a general provisions where you would have definitions, the code of ethics, and conflicts of interest, our policy and procedures development area, pardons because it kind of sticks alone by itself. Victim notification and participation, because I think that's more of a general topic, and then access to information. Because I think access to information is a little bit broader because we've got anywhere from public records requests to offenders receiving the information that they're supposed to. It's kind of a very broad topic too. And then chapter 2 is like proceedings, schedulings, conduct, deliberation, and voting. Looking at the chapters that are really around that of scheduling, docketing, conduct of proceedings, deliberation, and voting. Those are all existing chapters. And then the next section, chapter 3 on the back is parole. This is where I suggested deleting a couple chapters and moving stuff. The first subchapter would be eligibility for parole consideration. And this is where I would suggest not having medical parole be its standalone chapter and putting it in eligibility.
That makes sense.
Same thing with parole to detainer to another jurisdiction, ineligibility for future parole. I know it kind of goes along with violations, but it's
Mhm.
really parole eligibility. And then the other ones were already in that chapter. So those three, I was suggesting moving up into more of a eligibility.
So then you would reorganize the manual to correspond to this.
Yes.
table of contents.
Yes.
Makes sense.
And then then subchapter 2 around parole agreement, I was thinking that is more general because the parole agreement encompasses our conditions. That's a standalone chapter right now. Preparing, like, what is the parole agreement, the preparation, issuance. I think the rest of it, and also putting modifying conditions of parole in with the parole agreement, really putting all the condition stuff in the agreement all together in one chapter. And then violations is a lot of what is already there. I think the only thing I moved out of violations was around scheduling and docketing, the initiation and scheduling of violation proceedings for detained parolees. I kind of was thinking that more as for scheduling, not for violations.
Mhm.
And then another subchapter in parole on termination and early discharge. And then another chapter, then a separate chapter on SES and all the quirkiness of SES. And then 13 would be the review of.
Consideration.
So I think there's 3 chapters difference, and I think it's really around medical parole, setting conditions. And I don't know what the other one was, but and pardons aren't
That's
their
a
own
big
standard.
job.
Yeah.
That was a big job to categorize them and put them where they belong and
So
good work.
why isn't this chapter 4?
Oh, because it's my mistake. Thank you, Dean. Yes. So chapter 4 and chapter 5. So SES and review would be chapter 4 and chapter 5. See, I was using old.
Am I missing the?
No, thank you.
Oh, you went from 3 to 12 and 13.
Yeah.
Sometimes Word is weird and auto.
Yeah.
numbers.
Yeah, just double checking mine.
I think I was going a little bug-eyed by the time I got
Yeah.
done.
I believe it.
That's great, though. This will be much easier to find.
Oh,
things.
yeah.
So if this is something you would be in
So-
support of, then how do we start going through the manual and updating it and getting it up?
Well, I think the first thing would be to take the existing manual and align it with
Yep.
these chapters.
Sure.
And as another aside, maybe in the subchapter notes,
Yep.
like presumptive parole and
Yep.
chapter 3, within pages, whatever.
Yep.
23,
Well, the
20.
pages are gonna be there once it gets reorganized.
Okay,
I didn't put pages because I haven't gone to start
sure,
It would
yeah.
change.
reorganizing
Yeah.
it yet.
But my copy of this, the old one at home, I've got handwritten in the pages.
Well, the pages are usually right here. I
Yeah.
just took them off because of,
Good.
I took it out of the document, so it just made it look all funny.
Mhm.
So
So
yeah.
you've got some notes over the last couple of years.
So I've
Things-
already updated the code of ethics and conflicts of interest because the code of ethics has been updated in like 2022, I think is the last time it was updated. So I have done a little bit with that. I've done quite a bit with, I actually have notes in a whole bunch of places. So the main question I had was, do you want me to start bringing my notes to future staff meetings?
Yeah.
Like how many chapters at a time? How much is digestible?
Would it make sense for you, once you do the
Yep,
confirmation, then do all your notes,
yep,
like put it on our staff meeting,
yep.
give us say 3, 4 chapters for this next staff meeting, let's all go through, make
Sure.
notes, and then within 2 months, we
Go
should
on,
have the
yeah.
whole thing approved.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. How many chapters is
Do it in
digestible
chunks.
at a time?
Let you decide on that.
Okay.
Some are longer than
I was
others.
gonna say, depends on how long the chapter is.
Yeah, I think, chapter one, I think is gonna be the easiest, so I can, that one should be
The
definitely
definitions, yeah.
easily ready for August. In chapter two should be pretty
Straightforward. yeah.
straightforward as well. But I do have a bunch of notes. So if we want to do chapter one and chapter two in August,
I think you could throw in
I can probably do three too.
pardons. I don't know if there's any change in that. Is there?
Yeah, no, that's why I was thinking
Yeah.
I was thinking the whole chapter one, the whole
Yes.
chapter two.
Okay, good.
And then for August, September, we're gonna talk about Richard coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think chapter three might need to be split up, because I think we might need a day alone for violations.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Chapter four and chapter five, we've got a lot of brainstorming we've started
yeah.
that we want to redo.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Good. Good
so we'll
plan.
look at 1 and 2 for August. And if I get really rambunctious, we'll see. I've got a lot of the main parole stuff done. It's just,
You know, altogether.
yeah, and I think the condition stuff and the parole agreement stuff, we're probably gonna hold off on a little bit of that until September anyway, and same with violations until after. Violations may be coming further along too, as we're working through it with Richard. So, okay,
Great, thank you.
yeah, no problem. That was the easy part.
Yeah.
The updating, that's the hard part.
Well, we procrastinated long enough. Addition work since our last meeting. And this is a memo that I put together after our last meeting, and Pat and Lynn and I quickly reviewed it. I don't have my notes with me on what we ended up doing, but essentially, we'll just quickly go through it. As you recall, with the curfew, we talked about changing the curfew to abiding by it for the first 30 days of parole when it's deemed necessary, which again is a special condition that will be applied when it's appropriate. New condition 11, which would replace the existing one, which was difficult to manage and confusing. And there are other conditions that address this issue. So we recommended eliminating it, and in its place, a new condition 11, which says that you shall not have any contact with your victims through any means, which is the same language in the special conditions for DV and sex offenders, without permission from your parole officer or designee. Includes names or initials, depending on whether it needs to be confidential or not. So this condition 11 would replace the existing condition 11 and also replace 14A and 15A in the two special conditions for domestic violence and sex offenders. 13, again, was one that we talked about, the electronic monitoring, if it's warranted. That'd be for the first 30 days of supervision, and then abide by the Department of Corrections rules regarding its use. And we talked briefly again about, this was one of the recommendations that came from Richard when he reviewed the special conditions for us. There's still some discussion going on. Lynn particularly is not happy with the process that corrections would have to go through to extend that if they
Right.
want.
Yeah.
So my thought was we'll bring it back to the rest of the board and we can think about that, discuss it. And certainly when we have our meeting, our follow-up meeting with Richard,
Bring that
he
up.
can help us with that as well. But as I kind of recall from our discussion, his thoughts were to try to define it specifically when you put someone on parole so that they know up front and have a target time when they can be free of that worry. But we leave a caveat that if Department of Corrections feels they need it, going down the road, there's a process to do that. But I'm not sure that having it automatically renewed by them is the way to go.
Would they do the modification?
Well, that's what we were thinking.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyone else have any thoughts on that?
So
Go
I
ahead.
didn't have a chance. Lori, I thought I was gonna have time this morning, but I didn't. Lori mentioned some a line to put after at the end of 13 and 10, just to add some little bit more legalese, and I can't remember what it was. So I'm trying to, I don't know if I'll find it today, but I can definitely find it for the
Is
next
that
meeting.
something she mentioned at our last meeting?
Yes, and that's why I'm trying to find it.
On condition 13?
10 and 13,
10 and
because of the 30 days, she was saying
Right.
put a clause at the end.
Yeah.
I can't.
I left my notes from last meeting.
So if you wanna bear with me,
Yeah,
I'm trying
sure.
to pull, but,
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I just remember saying, and I kind of agree with them that historically doesn't do any good anyway. But I know corrections is entrenched in their directives and policies. It'd be very difficult to change their mindset on that. So, but 30 days at least gives us, I mean, kind of like that, at least it's kind of a sunset kind of a thing.
Hmm.
But like if you look at the experts or you look at what's entrenched in
Yeah.
corrections.
Well, there's that, and there's also the rules for furlough supervision. And, you know, to the extent that parole conditions are a little different from furlough, this could be one of those issues that we find based on data and what's presented to us as essentially been
Yeah.
resolved in
But,
many other cases that
To
it's
change it,
evidence-based, and the evidence
Yeah.
is that after 30 days,
they will change
There's
it
no benefit.
eventually, but it will be
Yeah.
kicking and screaming. all
oh,
the
I
way.
know.
So I don't, I mean, unless it's forced upon them, they will not.
Yeah.
Change it, so, and they will want us to continue with practice as well.
And the same with the condition for curfews.
Yeah.
If someone's no longer living in a transitional housing unit, and how many times have we seen people that have been on community supervision are still on a curfew? They're working, they're living with their family,
It's not needed.
but it's still their condition.
My only question is, do we need to have a condition modification hearing?
Right.
And if we do that, they've got to file, I mean, if Tom Bad Guy is really screwing up, they got to see 5 days ahead of the time to get that. So we not have just a simple administrative procedure for extension upon justifiable reason that gets shipped to
I think we
MJ,
talked
and one
about
of us
that at
board
one
people
point.
look at it and say,
Yeah.
yes, no.
I don't think by statute there's any reason we can't have an administrative procedure.
I think as I'm going back, kind of to piggyback with that, I think there was the language that Lori suggested put at the end of this was about expiration
Mhm.
and not, so I'll dig that up for next time. But I think we can come up with any condition modification process we want, how we want to administratively do those. Do they need to be a formal condition modification? Do we need to have formal hearings for this or not? Or, yeah,
Well, the other thing we talked about too, if you remember, Pat, was we would just, at the next hearing,
Yes.
somebody could submit a request and that board could review it
Yeah.
and approve it or not.
yeah, it's just hard when there's a week, when we have our week or two, those sometimes can be the more difficult ones. But
The idea would be to keep it simple and make it easy for them to modify.
yeah, no, absolutely.
So anything else on
I
that?
think that makes a lot of sense.
So I'll get that language for the
Okay.
next time so we can look at it. I'll also try working, I didn't have a chance to work on some of the kind of like how you have your app, some of your reasonings and why.
Mm-hmm.
I think if
The
we could
application.
start, it
Yeah.
maybe even it's when we work on the manual of putting some of that in there, so it's really clear to POC of this is when we're gonna use this, and it's clear to anybody who's giving conditions when you're gonna use this condition.
And we also recommended eliminating the rest of the special conditions for DV,
Yeah,
14
it's
B
already
and C.
covered.
And then changing special condition 16 to your residence or change in residence
Yes.
shall be approved. And not including employment.
Yeah, because this is something we're gonna have to, it's gonna take a little bit, because it's gonna have, now that everything is going into their offender management system, we'll have to get that changed, so it's not as easy as just changing our parole agreements and our approval forms anymore.
So then the goal would be to review what Lori has for
Yep.
suggestions, and then we'll have this up for final discussion with Richard.
Yep.
And vote to approve or not the changes and put them into the manual.
Yeah, and then we'll work on implementation, which might take a
Changing it,
little,
yeah.
might take a little bit after the meeting with Richard.
One of the thoughts that we had too was, maybe before we meet with Richard, is having a brief meeting with a couple of folks from DOC, just to
Yep.
let them understand what we're proposing and
Yep.
get their feedback.
And that together. Yeah, to try to figure out who's in what seat over there right now, but. So look at August or September for that.
Okay,
And what do we do if they balk at it and say, nah, I don't like that?
well, I mean, we can explain to them where we're coming from on this.
Well, and they may if he,
They're going to.
I mean, I.
No,
I mean,
not all of them
maybe-
will.
Given.
maybe it's not necessarily. Just go and see what their feedback, have a
Yeah.
conversation, go have a.
Yeah.
Collaborate together and
Right.
see what their concerns are and then take that into some of the conversation that we have with Richard and
Yeah,
even if we want to, if there's enough, we can also invite them over for a little while when Richard's here to hear some
Yeah.
of that too, if we choose we want to do
idea.
that.
yeah. If we can have a preliminary
Yeah, no.
before,
Yeah,
Yes.
and then based on the outcome of that,
yeah, absolutely.
say, we're gonna be discussing this with our
That's a good idea.
technician and.
Yeah,
Corrections, if they show that it's gonna take, that if it's less
Work.
work for them or taking something off their plate. Or
They're gonna like that.
Years ago, I went to a training and they said, well, there's some corrections, when they said, well, we'll take, every time we added a piece of paper, we'll take a piece of paper away. That never happened.
all
But
the paperwork reduction
Yeah, paper,
initiative that
remember that,
never
remember that?
happened.
never happened. The only thing we discovered was we changed the color of the paper. But,
Use smaller
Well, that's the
print.
same in every business.
but if they see it's gonna be less for them to do, they will be happy to.
Yeah.
If they think it's be more for them to do, they'll,
It's hard to know who to invite now with all the changes.
I know, and that's what I gotta figure out. I gotta figure out, I know Gary, I believe, so Dale Crook is no longer the director of field services. Matt Nolt is now the director of field services.
Oh.
I believe Gary Marvel is going back into his role, which is community services program manager, maybe. I don't know what the technical term is. He's the assistant director of field services or something like that. And Cassie Renfrew had come up into Gary's position while Gary was interim director of field services. So I don't know if she's going back to Barry or what she's doing. And then you got Mark Devens hanging out as something underneath, and I'll figure it out.
Wow.
There's all kinds of
If
positions.
Gary has
over
any
there.
role in it, he would, I think, be a good one.
Yes.
Because he worked with us when we did the
Yeah.
last review.
Yeah.
Yes,
And maybe somebody from the field, even somebody like Amber Sharpino.
yep,
He'd be really good.
The other thing, if you have one of the older casework supervisors.
Yeah.
Have them, just let them show up. A lot of times they will, they can bring on the rest of the group.
Okay. Anything else, Pat, that I forgot? that we
No.
Talked about?
No, I think you did a great job.
All the comments.
Okay.
Early release.
Yep.
So we have Jacob Beatty up first.
How'd you pronounce his last name?
The Addy?
Beatty.
Oh, okay.
It could be Beatty. I don't know.
That's how I pronounced it.
Well, you know, there's, the
But I don't know.
only reason I said Beatty is because that's how some of the, well, and there's some race car drivers that
Oh.
have that last. there's
Well,
a
in
race car
my
driver.
head, I said Beatty. So, is it?
Okay.
Oh. That's how, I don't know why, but in my,
Pronounce his own name, does
I
he?
know.
Everyone had a chance to review the Jacob Beatty case?
Yeah.
I've got the folder open if there's any questions.
Now, he isn't registering as a sex offender anymore, correct? I really,
Let me pull up OMS and I can tell you. Give me. We'll table that question. If there's any other
Okay.
questions while I pull up the system, because I can tell you.
I know at one time he was,
Mhm.
because he violated it, and then I
Yeah.
didn't see where he,
I think he is maxed out on those.
that's what I'm
It's
thinking
just a
that.
matter of if
Yeah.
it's
Maxed it out.
if it's a 10-year registry requirement or a
right.
lifetime registry requirement.
Correct.
He's just over a year out, no, just over 2 years out from his max date.
Right.
Yes.
It's considered non-listed.
Right.
Right, because those are all non-listed offenses. He has a lifetime registry requirement.
He does.
Yep,
Okay.
so he must be compliant.
Compliant since
Must be since
2016.
Yep,
16, yeah.
yep.
That's when the case was heard. Yeah. Good for him.
Any questions about Jacob?
No. I'll make a motion that we,
Well, wait, look, Wayne, did you have any, I see your face.
Oh, it's.
Your
just-
face is telling a story, and before we take motion, and we
Oh,
can,
it-
we
The
can
story's,
take
the story's coming.
Yeah.
You just gave me some ammunition for my next.
And we can-
rant.
okay.
we can take a motion
good
and
with
have
this one?
discussion.
Yeah, I'm good with this.
Okay, so we do have a motion. Is there a second? Motion is made and seconded to support scheduling an early release hearing for Jacob Beatty. Any other discussion, Wayne? Any thoughts?
Can I just,
Yeah.
good morning, Sam.
Good morning.
Hey,
Good
Sam.
morning,
I just
Sam.
wanted to let everybody know that
About time you got up.
we do have one more board member on. So,
Is your camera closed?
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a little slide up top.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Not anymore.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
So do you have a copy of the agenda?
Yep.
Okay, so we're in the process of considering early discharge cases for review and then scheduling for hearings. And we're on the first one, which is
Perfect.
Jacob Beatty.
Okay.
And we have a motion made and seconded to support scheduling a hearing for him
Okay.
based on the information provided. So is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of scheduling a hearing signify by saying aye.
Hi.
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 Any opposed? We are 6 in favor and 1 absent.
And Sam, you don't have to, if you need to, take care of, your little one or anything, you don't need to be on camera the whole time, just to let you know. Cause this
Okay.
will be like at the end.
Thank you.
For at least 30 days.
Yes, for at least 30 days after next month's meeting.
Okay. Michael Bristol. And discussion on Michael Bristol. Original offenses are second-degree murder and felony murder from a case back in 1981 involving the Vances in North Danville.
He's been incarcerated.
You can tell.
He's been incarcerated and on supervision for 42 years.
Yes. Isn't that incredible?
I feel old.
He was 17 at the time. of the
Yes.
offense.
17.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yes, I read went in and read the,
The victim services support that, you should say.
I was like 7 at the time, so I don't remember.
Where did you see that victim services supports it, Tom?
Right there under the.
Right
registered-
up.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
That's
thank
the
you.
first thing I looked for when I was.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I said.
It all kind of blurred, sorry.
Oh, I can imagine, MJ. But I was just very, that part surprised me.
yeah, North Danville. The Vances had a big dairy farm in it. Not too much earlier than that. They were kind of infamous for being charged with cruelty. They had
yes.
a dairy farm with most of the cattle were,
Not in good shape.
they were
No.
in bad shape.
Yeah.
They were, I think, in their late 70s.
Yeah, they were,
Yeah.
I was gonna say elderly, but then I thought, oh, I better not say that. I'm there.
Back then they were.
At the time, they were.
Yes. Exactly.
Right now, I see that old fellow over there, geez, he's younger than I am.
So the report obviously indicates that Mr. Bristol has been on parole for pursuant to our guidelines.
Yes.
More than
Yeah, he's been on parole since
15 years.
he's been on parole since 2002.
Yeah.
Dean and I did look at this case a little bit yesterday together, and there was I could not find
Nothing.
anything.
Yeah. Says he hasn't had any
He's
violations.
been reporting to telephone monitoring.
Yeah.
He reports to the office when he's supposed to. I think we couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we schedule, Michael Bristol for a hearing.
Okay. There's a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Katie. Any further discussion on the motion? I hear none. So all those in favor of scheduling a hearing signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are 6 in favor and 1 absent. Third case.
Which I did not give you because I
I
accidentally.
got 2 Michaels.
I got two Michaels.
Oh, yeah.
Last time I was copying them.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's tough.
I'll pull up the next one for you.
Okay.
That was a error on my part when I was clicking and dragging.
I thought you were just checking to see if we were paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay.
My
well,
God.
you know. I'll correct the record. All right, so this is Virginia Gillette. It came
Oh,
in
yeah.
from Christine, from Prospero's. He is on for embezzlement, petty larceny, driving DLS, violation of conditions of release, cocaine sale or delivery. He maxes in November of 2027. He was granted parole in December of 2019. There's been no issues. Oh, yes, sorry, thank you. There have been no issues and she's been compliant with her conditions. Due to level of compliance, positive behavior, and lower risk level, she was transferred to telephone reporting in August of 2020. She continues to report and fulfill all of her requirements.
There was no response from the victim.
Yep.
Yeah.
And she's maintained herself in the local community. She's assisted in running her brother's business, completed several other jobs, and currently operates her own property maintenance business, sorry. She lives in Weybridge. She obtained custody of her 3 children,
And she does
Two of her
counseling
3.
service.
2 of her 3, sorry. And she's dealt with several recent personal tragedies.
There's no restitution.
I don't know. We would know, if we scheduled a hearing, we would get the,
Okay.
Again, I'll make a motion that we see Virginia
Gillette,
Gillette.
Second.
made and seconded to schedule a hearing for early discharge consideration for Virginia Gillette. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are 6 in favor and 1 absent. SDMF,
okay, give me a second.
our favorite part of the meeting.
Yes, we're gonna actually listen to hearings today, 'cause
107 on the-
I'm filling time.
In this code.
So I will say that the coding, so the coding worksheet that you have is for the last hearing week of June and all of July except for last week. Because that's what we have for data entry by the time I put this together. The coding was fairly consistent.
I protest.
One case we're gonna go over today had 3 areas that were inconsistent, so we're gonna actually listen to the hearing and go through it. One of the board members isn't here unfortunately, but we do have Tom and Dean. Actually, we have the same board, so for both of the cases today, we have the same board members, so 4 of you are off the hook today in the SDMF
Not fair.
review.
I can't believe I didn't check that thing again. Never mind. All right. If I check 2 of them, that means one of them has to be right, right?
Right, one of them
Yeah.
looks right, but which one? If you notice, Tom, you've got to,
I
you do
saw-
that quite often.
I click, well, what I do is I do stuff ahead of time, and then I go back in
And change
to
it.
change it. I
Yeah.
assume that I clicked the thing right, but obviously I don't, so.
And then anywhere there's yellow,
Oh,
which it
yeah.
looks like Tom's the only one with yellow this month, it means that you did check a box.
Oh, I saw, well, that, you know, see what the box was? That was just one of the down, the no entry box.
I'm sorry.
I turned on me, target. You are. I went through this, I said, oh, great, it's gonna be, whatever.
So what I wanted to do, first of all, is like I always do, I always leave A on is, how's it going?
I'm fine with it. I like I said last month, I'm doing them basically on every case. My hand notes one. And I just fill in on that computer, the ones that are required for that hearing. Others,
Well, as long as I do what I'm supposed to be doing with her, clicking correctly, that'd be fine.
I'm just not comfortable doing them ahead of the hearing. Can't.
I understand why, but I like to have them ahead because then I have my little notes on the side saying, okay,
Yeah.
did they answer the question?
Yeah.
So like a good example is like the domain where they're.
Programming.
No,
is one of them.
programming, but the other one about their plan.
Mm-hmm.
So they had no plan to present it, and then we go into, then I always say, well, I have no plan. And then I would have a little note to myself saying, you know, check on the plan, then they do have a plan, it just was not put in by the PO.
Right, right.
But those.
Comes out in the interview.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just let those.
Yeah, under change,
I was gonna say, that's the most ridiculous question.
Yeah.
there
that's
is
the
on that whole
one we,
thing.
you always have to ask, how you
Yeah.
changed, or how do you think you're gonna change it, it's not.
In your interpretation of what.
What's helpful to me too is that when you put the packet together, MJ,
Yeah,
I keep open the suggested questions for that.
Yes,
And
I do too.
a lot of times those things have been answered, asked and answered in one form or another, which is very helpful. And if it's not, it's a good direction to head into to try to get to that.
Some of this is ambiguous, like the change one, that bothers me because he said.
Yeah, I don't like.
Because he's saying he's changed, or she's saying she's changing.
Doesn't mean,
But there's no evidence of change.
Right,
But you make it mitigating, because they're, obviously, They say
Well,
they're
I think
changing.
I think it also depends on the case that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Because I think the offender change, to me, if I was coding, offender change would be really hard with the incarcerated cases. But the community cases, I think offender change would be easier
Yeah.
because you're
It is.
already,
They're out there.
because you can see what they've already
Right.
done.
There's a tangible thing you can put on it. When you're
Right.
But
incarcerated,
not inside, yeah.
you're
And
going
I
through
think incarcerated, you have to just look at what kind of talk they're talking. They haven't walked their talk yet, but at least
But in a
what
lot of
kind of talk,
cases, they've
what
got
kind of-
programming,
Right.
they've done it, and they've got a good report.
and what have they learned out of it?
Yeah.
What can they recite back from the
Yeah.
programming and so
The
forth? What
program-
is kind of sticking?
That's when they're incarcerated. Just look at how many hoops did they jump.
Or
through
if they
successful.
used to get, like, when they first got in, they had a lot of DRs and then
Yeah.
Yeah.
over, and then in the last 12 months, there's
Right.
been any,
Yeah.
or something really, really minor. I
Yeah.
look for that with the change question too,
Those are
if
the
they're
highlight,
incarcerated.
Otherwise, fine.
All right.
Okay.
So Timothy Colby's our first one. I'm gonna cue it up and we're gonna play. I think it's good to watch some of these. We did this a couple months ago, 8 months ago. And I think it's good just to kind of go through we've got the parole summary. Dean and Tom have their worksheets. I have Lynn's worksheet. And I think it'll just be good, that we all know which ones were kind of at question, which was criminal and parole history, ability to control behavior, and institutional and community behavior. So I think we can just kind of listen to it and kind of
Which one are you doing
see
first?
anything that stuck out.
Timothy Colby.
So this meant, they put two, they put both
Yes.
aggravating and mitigating?
Yes.
Hey,
Hey, not
Or-
hey.
don't drag me out.
So because
I didn't want to single you out.
Single me out.
We can see it's him.
so if he had
For the
put,
for this.
so I'm assuming he probably put aggravating when he first did it, and then he wanted to change it to mitigating, so it
Right.
wouldn't be red. But we'll give him the, I don't know.
Gotcha.
So,
Yes.
We'll ask him.
so we'll play it.
I think he should be removed from this whole procedure. Obviously, it doesn't follow directions. well.
It's just a mistake.
So I'm gonna start. Ah,
I didn't have my black eye. It smells good.
okay, I'm gonna start playing this. Director Mary Jane Ainsworth.
Morning, Timothy.
Morning.
Timothy, have you reviewed the report that was written for the hearing this morning?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to ask Trevor, who's filling in for your parole officer, to fill us in on what's going on with your case and what corrections is planning for you. We'll have some questions after that and then make a decision for today at the end of the hearing.
So this is Tim Colby. He was sentenced 4 to 15 years for furlough. He has been compliant since 2020 with no issues. He's been at the same place of employment for 4 years, Border Trucks. He's receiving community support for his sobriety through Ackland Humphrey, and he appears to be doing well in the community at this time.
There was some mention of a program that he was involved in called Ignite. Is that still ongoing or is that completed?
It is still ongoing, and he is compliant with that program at this time.
Okay. And can you tell us a little bit about that program? I'm not familiar with it.
It's our DV program. It's 46 weeks. I believe it's 46 weeks. I'm not that familiar with it, but it's once a week. They meet as a group and address their needs.
Do you have his criminal history with you there?
I do not. I have his priors. I have the priors that he's been sentenced to, but I don't have his record check in front of me.
While we're doing the hearing, is there a chance that somebody could get that for you? Just so we can
Yeah.
get the summary of information. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So, Timothy, are you still on the MAP program or were you ever on the MAP program?
I was on it when I first got out in 2018, but it wasn't for me. It was kind of like the protocol. They thought I should try it. I didn't do it.
So what are you doing to maintain your sobriety?
it was alcohol is mostly what my problem was, and
Mhm.
I just learned so much in programming, and I found my triggers on why I had to dig deep into myself why I was using for a painkiller, and I did a lot of work with myself, and I had to change a lot of the unhealthy things in my life. I lost a lot of friends and family members, but I gained my sobriety from it, so I just gotta keep my relationships healthy and just.
So how long have you been sober now?
Since 2019.
Okay, great, thank you. Were you required to complete the community-based sex offender program?
Yes,
And did you?
yes, I did 24 months in Crouch, when I was in prison.
Okay.
Programming.
Was there community-based programming that you had to follow up with?
Oh, no, it was not community, no,
Okay, just the DV program that you're currently involved in?
correct.
Thank you. So Trevor, do you have that now?
I do.
Thank you. Could
No
you just
problem.
review the summary, please?
Yeah, he's got, you looking for felonies and misdemeanors and?
Yes, please.
Yeah, he has 10 felonies, 15 misdemeanors, 0 escapes and 0 violations of probation on his record check that I see.
Thank you. Questions on the board, Lynn?
Yes, thank you. So I'm reading here that it says you were charged with a domestic assault in June of 2020, and then it says you were convicted in January 2024. What happened in between there?
That's how long it took to get, sentenced.
Were you incarcerated the whole time?
No, I was not. I did about 7 months, I think, when that first started, and I got bailed out.
That was due to the court backlog from COVID, I believe. It took about 4
Yeah.
years for that to process.
That's surprising that he couldn't Incredible. get taken in 23. I mean, geez.
Yeah. It's a long time. We have a lot of those cases that are like that.
All right. So tell me something you learned in this Ignite program.
We've been working a lot about trauma and, how your brain, it's really breaks down what your body goes through trauma and, how to work with that. And it's been I really looked at my past and why I like outburst or when I would get angry. What would cause that, what had happened to me so I could work. It just dug really deep onto what was triggering me to get so mad. Like when I was yelled at as a kid or something, then when someone would yell at me when I was a young adult, it just really gets deeper into my triggers is what I've been learning more.
Gotcha. That sounds good. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, a couple things. Some of my questions have been answered, but you made a couple comments that stood out to me when I was reading your case yesterday. Was you want to be a good citizen, and you care about how you're viewed by others. Can you elaborate on that? What a good citizen is?
Just behaving yourself, being, I guess, in my eyes, a normal person where you can function and not commit crime and be as pleasant as you can be pro-social. I really care I'm hard on myself for what I've done in the past and I've done what I can. I feel it true. I've changed and I just want people to see that. I don't want to be that criminal that, they're harshly talking about all the time. I'd like to be that one criminal that are like, hey, he's changed, he's something that's worked in the system for him.
You do have an extensive history with 10 felonies and 15 misdemeanors, et cetera. But and how's the Ignite program? When are you gonna be finished with that?
I believe there's 52 classes and I've done 12. So whatever that is, twice a week.
And again, congratulations on your sobriety. Are you doing anything else like with AA or NA or anything?
I have never had luck with AA. Like I said before, I was involved with a lot of bad relationships, if it was friends or family or, my girlfriends. I'm married now and she come from an alcoholic family, so there's absolutely no alcohol near her house, our house. So I have a lot of support and I found my sober friends and family. So if I ever am in a situation where I even think about drinking, I'm able to talk to my wife or my stepfather, and I do have sober friends. So I just realized I have found my healthier relationships and it's been working so far.
Okay. You do have some more history with corrections coming up for a while under supervision, so. Okay, I have no further questions, Dean.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, what is the pleasure of the board, please?
I'll make a
Move that
motion.
we- Go ahead.
No, move to deliberative session.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded for a deliberative session. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is unanimous. We'll return shortly.
So obviously I was wrong, and I don't know why I hit mitigating, should have been aggravating. I'm not sure. I don't know why I did that.
Because you wanted to call attention to us
That must
for
have been
the
it.
staff meeting.
That must have been it. Yeah, no, I gotta check everybody else's to make sure they're all right.
Okay, so that takes out the institutional community behavior. What about criminal and parole history? Why'd you go mitigating?
Yeah.
And Dean, why'd you go aggravating?
Where are we here? Okay.
Well, it's pretty obvious. His history was extensive criminal history.
I know.
Felonies and
I thought his history was horrible. That's why I've been aggravating. I didn't go mitigating. That was Lynn.
No,
it's-
Where? Community institutional history? I would mitigate.
Criminal
Criminal and parole history.
Oh, I skipped the other house. Sure.
I went back to the beginning.
Never
No,
mind. Okay, I was going in
no,
order.
we fixed that one.
Let me see. No, we had the
So this,
control behavior too.
Yeah, I haven't got to that one. I'm going back to the start.
All right,
Criminal
never-
and parole history.
What did I put? Criminal-
you put mitigating.
Criminal history. Mitigating. Let's see.
I don't have your sheet on me, but I can look it up.
I don't know.
Did
I
you
don't
mean to
know.
put aggravating?
I don't know. I don't understand that one. Nope, I have no answer.
Okay. You don't have any notes or anything?
Yeah, my thing here, but not,
Maybe being with your former corrections background and
that must
history,
have been it.
you decided that really wasn't that bad. Criminal history
That must have been.
compared to what you've seen.
That could actually be true. So, okay.
Well, you put arrested at age of 15, also had a charge in Washington.
Oh, no, again, I don't know why that was a mistake, the criminal history. That was,
Okay,
that was an error on my part.
okay.
I don't know why I did that one.
So I'm gonna play Lynn for a second.
Okay.
I'm not gonna do a very good job.
Question for Dean on one of these.
Okay.
I want her to see you play Lynn. That's okay.
Just like, so ability to control behavior, she had mitigating on this one.
Yeah.
And I think she put notes of has had a lot of programming, is still in the Ignite program presently. I think she was treating this not as historical
Correct.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
instead of,
Her notes would fit perfectly under programming.
yeah,
which she has the same exact note under programming.
okay.
Well, again, I look at mine, where I made a mistake under the first one, but aggravating for behavior, I mean, it goes together, so.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just must have had a brain cramp or something.
Okay, so Pat, what is your,
I had a question for Dean under offender change. The other two had mitigating, you had neutral.
Yeah.
What were your notes for neutral?
I've got basically that he identified his risk factors using tools from programming to manage his risks. And
I have my little cheat sheet.
Because neutral says there's no evidence of behavior change as a result.
right, but he completed all the programming. And then under mitigating, it could have gone either way on that, Pat.
Okay, I would have gone mitigating.
Mhm.
I would.
And
I
I-
think if anybody went aggravating on this, we would have a
Oh,
problem.
Yeah,
I
agree.
guess so.
Yeah,
I know you keep good notes, so I wondered what you were thinking.
yeah, and The only thing I was thinking is maybe there wasn't enough demonstration of change.
Okay, okay.
Talk about it.
yeah,
All
okay, got it.
those category questions, I always go neutral unless there's like a demonstrated graduation, pure
Exceptional.
convincing evidence
Yeah.
that something happened. and
Right.
It's a success.
Like a light
Otherwise,
went
if
on.
he's in this
Yeah.
program, that program, and doing this.
Yeah,
Neutral.
neutral.
But the other thing was, he had been out in the community since 2020 and with no issues.
Yeah.
That's why I went with mitigating, and I know, even though I had a to it, but that's why I was looking at, he talked the talk, but he also been out in the community, since
Yeah.
2020. That's why I went with the mitigating.
All right. I'll give you that.
But I can't think of very many, if any, that I.
Nice guy.
Mitigating in that, because
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah,
You know, I appreciate that they've done what they've been
Yeah.
asked to do.
right.
But-
I'm
Okay,
assuming the same kind of thing with the responsivity, because you went neutral on that one too.
Responsive.
for what?
Programming,
Oh, okay,
Dean, you went neutral on that one. I'm assuming
Yeah.
it's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing, probably. He's still in programming.
I would have
He's
given them
completed-
Oh,
neutral
yeah,
in
he
that.
hadn't finished it.
Yeah, he completed sex offender programming,
Right,
but
but
he's
he's in
still
the
in
Ignite.
Ignite.
Exactly.
I would have given them neutral in that.
And neutral says he's completed some. And
Yeah.
Right,
I was just looking,
Mhm.
because I think sometimes it's good to go over some of the
Oh, yeah.
neutrals
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
even though they don't see it as a vast difference, because I think neutral's always a safe
Right.
bet.
yes,
I gave him mitigating for his release plan. He'd done a good job of
Yeah, everybody. gave
talking
them
about how he
mitigated.
was staying away from alcohol and he had a good support system. And then we rolled him.
yep,
I think one of those guys has grown up a little bit, but.
Yeah.
I won't tell.
Let me you up Harry Norway.
Good job playing Lynn though, there, MJ.
I am not gonna completely,
Not going there?
not going completely there.
Oh,
Okay.
all right, we got next.
Harry Norway.
Let's see here, what I
Hold on a second and I'll cue it up.
got. No, we all were different.
This one looks like it's a programming. Oh, one second.
Didn't do, done.
We can do done. There's
Pick on-
nothing,
We can pick on
We've got-
Katie and Pat.
we've got,
Oh,
plenty-
boy.
I thought we were gonna get out of
we've
this.
got plenty of time.
Yeah.
We can take a break and I can do some printing and we can do done after this one. We got plenty of time. Give me a second and I will queue up. I think it's good to listen to some of these hearings from time to time.
We got all three categories.
I don't know what happened here. Obviously, somebody
Today's
brought it.
date is June 20th, 2024, and we are doing board members Tom Giffen and Lynn Caroleo. The
Written for this hearing?
Me?
You.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, okay. Is it Sheila or Aaron who's going to present the information?
I'll present it.
Okay. So we're going to ask Aaron to fill us in on your case and what's being recommended for you by corrections. We'll have questions after that and then make a decision at the end of the hearing. Aaron.
All right. So Mr. Norway was returned to corrections on September 29th, 2022 with new charges out of Essex and Orleans County. He was on parole currently at that time. His parole was revoked on December 22nd, 2022, and then case staffed on February 13th, 2023 with a 1 year and resolved pending charges. Currently, he has resolved all his pending charges, has a new minimum date of June 28th, 2024, is earning work camp good time right now, and has applied to the Franklin County CRJC and is on the approved waiting list right now.
And so that would be for residents, Aaron?
Correct.
Okay. Sheila, anything to add to that?
No, Dean, just the conditions we recommended if he was granted parole. Thank you.
And Aaron, do you have his criminal history with you?
I do, sir.
Can you just review the summary of that information, please?
Yeah, for felony charges and convictions, he has 22 charges with 17 convictions. Misdemeanors, 49 charges, 43 convictions. He was unknown offense level charges, 13 and 0. Assault of crimes, 2 and 0. Sex crimes, 2 and 0. He has 5 escape charges and violation of probation parole charges, 6 and 8.
Thank you. Mr. Norrie, have you ever been charged as a habitual offender?
I was, they had brought it onto the table this time here when I went to court.
Okay. So what's going to change?
Well, because of my medical condition now, I can't do no more drinking. I'm an insulin dependent diabetic. So I definitely can't reoffend on alcohol. I'm trying to get into the Restorative Justice Center for housing. I've made, contact with the Howard Center in St. Albans for alcohol counseling treatment, and I'm on the MAP program.
Okay. You're currently on the MAT program?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you taken any programs while you've been incarcerated?
The only ones I've taken are the ones that are on the tablet, that they're offered on the tablet. There's no other programs that have been offered in correction. I've been in St. Johnsburg facility, and that facility don't have no programs.
Okay. Thank you. Questions from the board, Tom?
Sheila, will he be able to, would be required to do programming on the street, will he? Or not?
I would assume so. He would be transferring over to Franklin County, and I would imagine they would have him engage in counseling since he's already engaged in the MAP program, et cetera. So, and I believe there's probably more opportunities for programming and counseling over in that area than in the Northeast Kingdom. I think it would be a better fit at this time.
So Harry, have you done programming? You've had an extensive history. Have you done any program while you've been incarcerated over the years?
Yeah, I've completed all the institutional programs except for the program that they have going now. It's the RRP program. I've completed Vanguard program, all their alcohol counseling programs they had. I've done work camp. I was mostly been at the work camp for work camp setting for the majority of my sentence. But I did threshold decisions and impulse control way back in the 80s when they had that. And I'm gonna get into the IOP group in St. Albans out of the Howard Center when I get out.
And the fact that you were in Vanguard tells me you've been in jail a long time.
Yes, sir. I came in 87.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That's a whole program.
One thing that struck me on your plan that thank you for submitting it. It says that you don't want to drink alcohol because you'll go back to jail. That your only now we have a health reason, but it did strike me as odd that was the only reason that you put it down in writing that you didn't want to go back to jail just because you're drinking alcohol.
Well, at that time I wasn't a diabetic. They just declared me a diabetic, and I've been on insulin. So now if I drink, I'm going to die. So I can't drink. There's no way I can drink. Yeah, I'm getting sick of jail. I definitely don't want to come back to jail.
I
was doing good. I was on parole for almost 2 years. I was doing good until I allowed my son-in-law to move in with me, and he beat me up and left me for dead in Newport in Charleston, where we were living. And I had to transfer out of that county because of him. And because that's when I started relapsing and drinking. That whole situation started over getting assaulted. And Sheila Martin's well aware of that whole situation.
As Chairman George mentioned that the habitual, why were you not convicted of a habitual offender?
Now?
Why weren't you when they brought you up, when they brought it up? I'm sure they did.
Yeah, they brought it up this time here in court, and they dismissed it because
Oh, I took a plea bargain,
Okay.
and part of the plea bargain was that they would dismiss the habitual offender sentencing.
Okay. So so the plan that you have in place is the CJC, you have a plan for Howard Center. And you're not drinking alcohol because it will kill you because you're diabetic, and what other things are you planning on when you if you get out?
I'm working with the Restorative Justice Center on employment through, Rebecca Robinson. So when I get out, I'll either be working at Peerless or probably back at Ace Hardware where I was working before. And I'll be doing treatment. I'll be doing the IOP group. That's 3 days a week in the mornings. And then once that's completed, then I can do, it's a aftercare group they have through the Howard Center.
Okay,
It's 6 months aftercare center program.
I see you've thought this all out. Thank you. I know further questions, Dean.
Thank you. Lynn?
Yeah, I have a question, about absconding. I think it was read that you have absconded 5 times. What's gonna make you not abscond anymore?
Well, most of my ex-cons were just out of place on furlough. Back then, you got out of place, you got an escape charge. I don't have family nowhere else. I ain't going nowhere. I don't have no intentions of absconding at all. Back when on one of my, escape charges, I started drinking and ended up in Massachusetts and came back on my own. My father went down and picked me up and brought me back. It's all my ex-convicts are just like out of place for more than 2 hours on furlough.
All right, you mentioned your family. I'd like to follow that up a little bit. What's the reason for moving to St. Albans? Do you have family there that can support you?
No, I gotta stay away from my family. I had my daughter and my youngest daughter and my son-in-law living with me, and my son-in-law, he was on drugs, and he beat me up and took all my tax money. My daughter just my tax money went to her, direct deposit, and he assaulted me, and so I'm staying away from my family. That's why I'm going to Franklin County. It's a pretty good support group over there. I was over there prior to coming in this time here for like 2 months, and their support group around alcohol is a lot better than Orleans County. There's more sobriety.
Last question, how are you gonna repay your restitution?
Working.
All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
There's nothing further than what is the pleasure of the board, please.
I'll make a motion that we grant parole to Harry Norwood this time.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded to grant parole to Harry Norway. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. So Harry, I'm gonna.
Okay.
I stand by my. Program before, he's willing to do programming in the future, he has a schedule to do programming. I will stand by my mitigating.
I stand by my aggravating.
I would have said aggravating.
He even did Vanguard, for God's sakes.
Okay, so
So I agree to disagree.
And after
can I
that,
borrow
he went
your,
back to
your
jail.
notes for
Oh,
this
no,
one?
He
No,
did,
this
but he
one.
wasn't allowed to well, I think the other part was he's willing to do the programming, he's had it before.
He hasn't done it.
He's done a lot of
Okay.
programming in the past.
Okay, so here, let me believe it.
Were those prior to his
Yes,
present
yes.
offenses?
Okay,
So he's a success,
Okay.
huh?
MJ?
so mitigating, the individual actively participated in and completed required assignments that targeted identified criminogenic needs and was based on risk, needs, and responsivity.
Yes, he did.
Neutral, the individual has completed some correctional programs, but one or more elements of risk, needs, and responsivity were not adequately addressed, or no specific program was warranted. Aggravating. The individual has not.
Don't see it?
The individual has not completed correctional programs based on risk, needs, and responsivity. The individual was not afforded the opportunity to complete such programming, or they were assigned to such programming but failed to actively participate in completed assignments, or they attended such programming but not at a dosage high enough to have affected a reduction in risk to reoffend.
Bingo.
So he's still in jail, so you can go that way.
Well, and not necessarily.
I would have gone with neutral. To be honest.
That's where I would have probably gone with neutral too, because
Just because if he has done some, there is some he still needs to
Because you're
do.
liberal DOC people. Quite apparently.
My wife is, he does.
Wow, talking about Tom.
Oh,
I wasn't going mitigating. I would never go mitigating.
I do, I like
I
in the
mean, he
neutral,
would be
there's
sitting in
some.
jail if he.
Right, exactly. So the reason I went aggravating,
The last sentence.
It's the correct.
no, because he said initially that no programming
Right.
was required of him.
Right?
The only thing he did was what was on the tablet.
Yeah.
So there were no, in his current offense category,
There was no.
there was no programming offered to him.
Yep.
Yeah.
On that.
So there was nothing addressing his risk needs in this current
Yep.
offense.
Makes sense.
Well, I can understand what you can't, but he had done programming, extensive programming in his career. He just.
Yes, no doubt about that.
Just didn't do
But
any
we're
good.
dealing with someone who had 43 misdemeanors.
Yeah.
As you keep saying, they're not Boy Scouts.
17 felonies.
Oh,
This isn't Sunday school.
and drinking may kill him, but okay. All right, I.
Yeah, no argument that he has done them in the past.
Yeah, that's, so originally I had him the same way you did, but
Yeah.
but then when he started talking, I said, okay, he's done. He started with Vanguard and he went through all the other program. And then the other thing that was the catcher for me was he was willing to do these other programs.
Yeah,
But it's
Yeah.
still unmet right
Right.
now,
Right?
yeah.
So,
which is why I would have gone neutral.
And they didn't
Pretty
require
well,
him
wrong.
to do any program.
Right.
right,
Yep.
all right.
Well, the only area that we get hung up on is if we have an aggravating and a mitigating at the
Right.
same time.
Yep.
We did.
And we did. Yeah.
It's much more liberal than mine.
As we were going over that and Dean asked for the criminal history, you don't happen to have you guys in your power to bring up a criminal history here? It's crazy. Why do we take that course? But at any rate, I'm not gonna even go down that road.
The courses aren't related to necessarily the criminal, just the criminal.
If you looked at the
history.
course and looked at the flags that they cite, we should have access, but at any rate, that's between us and. I'm just saying for the new members of the board. I wish I had one so I could tell you exactly, but when we ask for the baseball scores. And you're hearing, it starts out with violations of conditional release, felony or failure to appears, felonies, misdemeanors. And it gives you. Everybody understands that,
Yeah.
10 charges, 5 convictions. But when they start into the rest of this aggravated with a weapon section, all those other categories are not offenses. They're part of the original felony and misdemeanor. I just want to make sure you guys understand that.
They're not new.
Those are just broken down pigeonholes of
Oh, okay.
Of the-
felony and misdemeanor
yeah.
count. So don't
Gotcha.
think that, oh my God, he's got 6 sexual assaults on top of 10 felonies. No, that's,
Or
those
another.
sexual assaults.
They're all included in
You
the.
can't do one.
Okay.
And it will also give you his
I
or
think he
her
was on the.
motor vehicle
We
records.
don't have an audio.
If they're under suspension, what for, how many DUIs they've got.
He was on the
But
broken.
then you
down.
had the Wayne thing where they have no 20 felonies, only 6 convictions.
Or 45
That's why you didn't grab.
failure to appears.
Yeah.
That's not.
Not only aggressive, but.
Trying to give you a-
That
Violations.
does not mean the behavior didn't happen.
Right.
But he was on the Microsoft glitch day.
Oh, yeah, that's you. I don't want to predispose you, but Tom just reminded my favorite saying is, you hear 10 felonies, 5 convictions. I don't know how familiar you all are with the criminal justice system, but it doesn't mean that 5 he's innocent of. Doesn't mean the 5 other ones didn't happen for whatever reason. It may have dismissed, or victim didn't cooperate, evidence was suppressed. But that probably still happened.
Yeah. Did you parole him?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
He was a stellar candidate. What do you think?
Thomas.
I just
I'm
wondered,
heading over for Sunday dinner.
He was a stellar candidate.
I just wondered.
Now we're gonna talk about,
Oh, yeah.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
Yeah,
while
we
I-
can.
While I cue this?
Yeah.
And we're trying to find the audio.
So you must have got through before the.
We can do it without audio, that's fine.
I was on the
Ah.
4th of
I
July,
hate
was
listening to
traffic.
my
We
voice.
blocked in traffic for half an
I
hour.
don't have
So,
it in my
no, I
OneDrive.
didn't get blocked for half an hour. So when I went by, they
Is
had
that the one that I forgot to turn
started
the recording on for?
removing the blocks.
Okay.
Precious and it was nice.
Oh,
The day that there was only.
I saw that. When I was there was.
then that's the one.
That's the one I forgot to turn the recording on for.
About 10-15 minutes after, that was pretty
That
fresh.
was, remember.
So
saying,
the-
oh, thank
when
goodness
I
it
went
wasn't as
through-
long.
That's too
Yeah.
bad.
Trailer
Next time.
was smushed in. There was about 4 fire trucks.
Yeah.
And along that, like the 2 people's lawns,
Yeah.
there was blocks of crushed
Yes.
cars.
Let's go to the car, put the back of the
Little
truck.
ladies.
See that?
So what I'm
Yeah,
assuming
it must have
is
fallen over.
what I'm assuming
It's
is he
basically
was
Tom just
carrying
explaining.
them, and then he
Aggravated
rear-ended
him
a car,
Or maybe got that little ditch there, maybe.
cause his whole,
Oh,
And then it was all
the cab was
smashed in.
smashed.
so I'm assuming he rear-ended something or hit something.
Because
But I don't know what I couldn't, they were lined up kind of too perfectly. on
This
the
Yeah.
person
lawn.
from the
So
UK
I
wants
don't
to
know
meet
if
with
in
me
order
just
to
to talk about.
Oh, really?
tow the truck, they had to take them off.
The time change, I think it's got him so messed up because he keeps scheduling it for the wrong, I'm like 7:31 and 9 AM
Yeah,
Eastern
he hadn't even
time is
started
what
yet.
I can do.
After half an hour, because if I
And
had known I would have gone.
he sent me
back
one
way,
for 9
but
o'clock
I-
tonight,
yeah,
he
stop.
sent me one for 9 o'clock
They had
today, I'm like, no, tomorrow.
Do you want me to
Who's
talk
first in
some?
line?
If you
They
want to,
hadn't
I think
even
he just wants to
started
listen to all
towing
of
the
it.
tractor trailer yet. When I went through it, so.
I don't know why he picked us, or
But yeah,
Yeah.
I was like, holy
I'll see how
cow.
it goes.
But I think I only had to wait like, cause they were letting,
I was good half an hour, I think, waiting to get through.
I wasn't
Yeah.
probably any more than 5-7
Yeah.
minutes.
MJ, any of your friends, with 8 inches of rain up north?
I don't, Colby had heard about the rain up north,
Yeah, it's
I
AJ.
hadn't heard any,
St. Jay, Waterford.
I didn't even know about it.
They're washing away Dino's hometown.
I know.
Yeah.
It seems like these. That's the rain that we got. With the Irene.
Roma left for Notre Dame last week. Got a letter yesterday from
All right, so we're gonna reconvene, but Pat has a question on Harry Norway's coding.
Norway, the one we just did.
Oh, okay.
Why under victim consideration, you put aggravating and the other put neutral? Why did you have aggravating? I didn't even hear anything about victim.
No, I would assume that I clicked the wrong thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. I just wondered if there was something
No,
that we missed in the,
Tom, would you like me to set aside personal time to teach you how to use the mouse and?
I don't think what was going on at the time. Recent incidences like he had a black eye.
Yeah, poor guy, leave him alone.
Yeah, I had my computer and everything go down, and in fact, yesterday we lost power. I said, thank God it wasn't a parole board day. But I would say I'm just need some special time. Just carelessness, that's what it is. Sorry. But nice that you called attention to. I appreciate that, you know.
I did the same to Dick.
Oh, that's not helping. That's not helping. Oh, that, you think that's gonna be? I did the same. Well, that just makes you feel good all over.
All right,
So there were no victim issues.
No,
okay.
I mean, I can pull the folder up and see if there was anything, but.
sure, I just was click, 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 click on that one. I'll start calling you now weekly on my computer.
Well, you say the very first sentence has to be Colby help.
Yeah. That's all. That alerts you.
I know what's going on.
William Dunn.
Good.
So I brought William Dunn, and we're guessing it's a checkbox issue. But we're curious, Tom, we don't have an audio on this one.
Tom again?
I didn't do this.
Well, no, but you're with Pat and Katie this time.
This was the audio where I was having a really bad morning and completely forgot to hit record. We don't have the audios for this hearing day. There's only 3 hearings.
Oh.
Well, whichever one you meant, they were both different than the other two.
Yeah.
What did you put?
I put mitigating, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, but I mean, what did you put for reasoning?
Okay. Let's click this. Okay, what I put, so we're on,
Release plan.
release plan. He's on the list for dismissals, plans for MH and SA treatment in the community. So been mitigating. That would have been not aggravated, but mitigating. So originally, he didn't have anything. And so I put that, but I don't know why it would be neutral, because.
Well, he wanted to go to ICOTS in Connecticut, but they wouldn't accept him.
Right.
He was gonna go to dismiss, although he's planning to go to dismiss, he still will be in the same type of surroundings as he was previously. I think that's why I put neutral.
I put neutral because I said there's some good initial planning, including plans for counseling and continued substance use treatment. However, housing is needed and is currently on the wait list. So it's not completely.
all in
solved.
place.
It's not
So
resolved.
and that's why I said
Well,
neutral.
we have given more, I mean, he had more of a plan than some people would have that we gave neutral to. That's why I said, well, he has a plan that he's on the list. He's gonna go, he was going to go to dismiss house. I believe they.
Yeah, he was close.
That he was on the list to go. So
Yeah.
it wasn't, so my thing was he had a plan. He was gonna be at dismiss house and he had other things set up in the community. So that's why I said mitigating. I'll stand by that one.
Well,
I guess I put-
It's a lot better than aggravating.
I put aggravated because there was no plan.
Right, there was nothing in
There was
the
nothing in
summary.
place and I had my note and I did not click
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah.
So I gotta be careful, I guess, MJ, when I.
You know what I've been doing, Tom, when I just do mine in written form first. I'll put a question mark there. if it's
And
out
then
there.
ask it.
Yeah.
And then during the hearing, I'll make some notes and then after the
Yeah.
hearing, I'll go in and fill
What
out
I've been
the
trying to do is leave it blank.
Yeah.
That's what I've been, that way I
Yeah.
go back to it, but I must have, who knows what I did, but.
Yeah.
I would say, I mean, if he had a place to live, he had plans in the community, I'll still by mitigating.
Yeah, no, that's one. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Good.
Wasn't a star, but.
Is that the only?
All right, so we've got done here. On responsivity programming. Tom and Katie picked mitigating. Pat, you picked neutral.
Under programming. Let me find it.
Just kind of curious.
Says did not qualify for programming while incarcerated, waiting to do an assessment when in the community.
Yeah,
What do I have here?
And let me see what,
Did programming at Howard in 2020. That's great, and
I put neutral.
we required
Yeah.
to, we required to do programming, took RRP twice in Newport. He did RRP in the field. He also took math programming, and he's also involved with education.
yeah, and I said mitigating because he was engaged. He was engaged in counseling at the jail's requirement of the MAP program in groups. He completed a lot of online courses. And he was willing to engage in all programming offered once released in the community.
I guess I put neutral because it's under the definitions, it says the individual has completed some correctional programs, but one or more elements of risk, need, and responsibility were not adequately addressed or no specific programming was warranted. And he's gonna do an assessment to see what else is needed. So I guess that's why I went with neutral.
I can see that.
Mhm.
I guess that's the only reason.
I just did all the programming he had done and.
Yeah.
Now,
I was just
What's his raw risk?
moderate.
Yeah. We rolled them.
I'll call ahead in the future and see how many Toms are on this though. Video.
I think we're doing a good job though.
Yeah, I do too.
It makes me think more. I think,
Yeah.
for me anyway. Or do you
Well-
find that our, MJ, do you find that our questions are getting more specific?
I do. I feel like I said this before, but I feel like the hearings are more meaningful. There's more dialogue and conversation with the individual than before. Which sometimes it takes up a lot more time,
Yeah.
but I find it a little bit more meaningful. The one thing I would just caution all of you is when others are asking questions, I know it's hard, it's easy to get lost on your computers or in your phone and stuff. Just be cognizant because faces tell a lot of stories, or if you're looking at different stuff, it may not be that sometimes it may look like you're not paying as much attention, so just be cognizant of that.
Stage presence.
Yes.
True.
And Tom, I love it. Anytime that anybody reads conditions, you get your condition guidance out.
Yeah.
And it's very on the board, on screen. We can tell that
You tell your
it's
fellow-
almost like you're grading the
No.
chair.
No, not
That's
really,
what,
no.
that's what it looks like sometimes.
No, I just followed with how people are doing it.
No, I know,
That's good.
but it's great.
You
But
have a question you ask
we
it,
can just definitely tell.
I know, it's just like, I look at what the conditions are.
Yeah, no,
So I always look at if we're adding anything or subtracting.
Yeah, now I think it's great, but I just thought I'd tell you that sometimes how it looks is like you're.
Oh, no, no.
It's the old teacher in you is stand.
I'm sure it's part of my education background.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was checking when we had that discussion and we changed some things. I said, okay, now I am. But yes, I have it right next to the computer.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask about conflicting information. I mean, we don't code it. I've never used it, never put anything in there.
I think it's just part of the SCMF.
Yeah.
I think it's just part of the normal, and maybe that's a question if we ever regroup with them.
Yeah, why we have it.
Why do we have it?
Yeah.
Well, the police information would be the PO said one thing and the vendor said something else maybe.
Which we just had, and was it a violation hearing that we just had a lot of conflicting information, and that's why we postponed the disposition, because it was extremely
Right. Oh, yeah,
confusing.
right. One guy said he went to,
Yeah.
treatment and.
Yeah, well, I said he didn't.
He didn't, yeah.
And
Well,
who?
there's, yeah, maybe we should,
Right.
that would be what we could, I guess,
Yeah.
would be good.
Yeah, Frank didn't make a decision.
No.
So one other thing in SDMF, the parole summary updates, in the longer version of the parole summary, the new version of the parole summary is now active in the offender management system at DOC. We have not received one yet. When we do, I will be sending it out as an example to all of you so you can see it, because it is going to be a little bit different. The affidavits are going to be at the end of the document. You're not going to open them. It's going to be one long PDF document. So I will send it when we get it. The goal was to have this live starting with all September hearings. However, with anything, the rollout has been a nightmare for many reasons.
Yeah.
So we're waiting for these to start to roll in. I'm working on some FAQs with DOC Central to get out to staff. I've also been invited to the facility supervisors meeting, casework supervisors meeting in September, up in St. Jay. They're meeting in person, so I'm going to go to that. There's going to be a whole section on how to complete a parole summary and go through that. So I'm going to be going there in September. It'll be good just to see folks and make sure information is passed along. So we are working on it. It's a work in progress, but
We might see it this month then.
you probably won't see it in August. You may see it towards the end of August, but you'll hopefully start seeing it in September.
Okay.
And then we will have the complete parole summary for all cases instead of, which I know you've been anticipating, Wayne, because you like the new one versus the old one, because you get so much more information. And so hopefully soon we will be getting them.
Good.
Great.
So we're working on it.
And you've had a conversation with Richard.
Yep. So I met with Richard yesterday, updated him a little bit on where we're going. We're going to meet again in the next month or so. Richard would like to come back to visit in September. Looking at his schedule, and so far we're looking at Thursday, September 26th.
You didn't tell him peak is usually around Columbus Day.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You didn't tell him peak is usually around Columbus Day.
Peak foliage.
Yeah.
Yeah, well.
He wants to be here ahead of
Oh,
that.
look.
Oh. That's when they're nice.
Sorry, he just woke up. Sorry.
We're gonna see him anyway. Oh,
So
look.
much bigger than Seffy.
Oh, my gosh, look at him.
Got a job yet?
You have a plan?
You got a plan?
Aren't they cute at that age?
Sorry, I didn't connect with foliage. No, he's actually going to be Washington DC on the 24th and 25th. And so he thought he'd fly up from Washington the night of the 25th and be here on the 26th if it can work for folks.
Yeah. Is everybody okay with that? There's enough time in advance.
Yeah, it's certainly enough time in advance.
Yeah, I should look, I think I'll double check.
So that's a Thursday.
Yeah, and I think that would normally be our overflow day in September, but lately the way we need overflow days has been pretty good, but we keep putting them on the schedule. So September we'll reassess if we're gonna have one or not. But
We can always do it on the
Yeah.
25th.
So, part of our plan will be to have our condition issue
Yep.
resolved and maybe a
yes.
look at the violation piece.
Yep.
And-
I'm still
Yeah.
hashing out some of the violation piece, and I talked to Richard a little bit about that. He's mulling some stuff around in his head. About, so I'm hoping for August meeting to give you something around the violation piece ahead of Richard coming, just so we can start to talk a little bit more. And then he also wants to look at data, more about, yes, we collect a lot of numbers, but also looking at more than just the numbers we collect of what is the board looking at, what are you all looking at to kind of drive your work? What is helpful to know? Like, is there a measure that would help you drive how well you're doing or not? That kind of thing. He's starting to think about some of that. I think those are the 3 topics that came out of the last meeting. And we're gonna look at starting at 9:30 on the 26th because I couldn't get it. Conference rooms, we're not gonna be in this building. We're gonna be over next door, but I'll send out directions.
Not the big building, but next door.
Right. Well, we're not gonna be in this little building. It's gonna be off of the big building, but it's gonna be off of this parking lot right over here
Okay.
So that's when he visits.
when he visits.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Sorry.
vacant space, there's this complex, you can't get a meeting.
The conference rooms are booked on the 26th of
Wow.
September.
Wow.
There's a lot of meetings going on that day. I don't know what's going on, but there's a
2 months.
Is that a meeting room or?
Yes, it's a meeting. I actually honestly think it's my old office from pre-Irene.
Really?
Wow.
I got to thinking about it yesterday. I think it's my old office that I shared office space. There was 4, we split it up into like 4 cubicles with those nice wooden desks from BCI.
Yeah.
And I think it's a space that Carmen Shalou and I shared.
So where do we enter? Oh, and
We're gonna over enter. I will give you all I can show you after, but you know how there's a parking lot right over here with like the EV state charging stations and so forth? It's right, there's a walkway right there and we'll let you in. There's actually a key in access door right there. So it's gonna be really easy.
Okay.
I went on a little field trip yesterday.
Okay.
So we're gonna go in the other driveway.
Yes. You're gonna go in the other driveway and then turn right.
Brought a few people through that door a long time ago.
It's kind of,
I went to the one on the left a lot.
Yes, I was gonna say, there's police over there a lot. So.
well, it's actually, so if you think about it, back in the
The
day,
one that you're talking about,
They-
was one of the drop-off points for.
it actually wasn't it's not the old
and then
door.
moved to the front.
It's not the old door. It's there used to be like a little area where the garbage was in the back door of VSH.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's right on the other side of, it's the core. It wasn't on the VSH
Wasn't there a
building.
little cafeteria there too?
Down in the tunnel.
Yeah, oh, that's
Canteen. No,
Oh, there was
there was a canteen down below.
the tunnel that went
Yeah.
underneath
The-
the
Mental health.
Yeah,
Yes.
to keep the,
the patients at
Oh, yeah.
VSH.
yeah.
I remember, was it Heinz?
Heinz was there. You
Oh, it was, that place was
I couldn't believe
scary.
it. Couldn't believe it.
But the tunnel?
Yes, the tunnel was scary.
There's so
I know, I
convenient
heard
to
it's
go
about
to
it.
bed.
Oh, I know. Yes, it was convenient. It was just scary
Well,
walking
they did
through
before I
there.
could play with it.
You know,
Makes me wanna go from
Top shop.
Be able to go from here?
From
Something
the
wrong.
Oh,
Yeah, I think you used to be able to go from this building too.
Well,
That's the
as far as behavior.
I don't know. I never ventured past.
I wanted to go in the tunnels because there's supposed to be ghosts and they told me I couldn't.
You know what? I believe there are ghosts coming.
Horrible.
Yeah. I mean, just the doors on the side, I mean.
Yeah.
it's-
Well, I heard that the Montclair tunnels, I think, are next to get filled.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Those are fun to go from the,
I've never been in those
well,
either.
you go, it's kind of, you go from the really ugly building on the left there. The transport, not transportation. Oh, where the big parking lot is, and you never get a parking spot there, state building.
Yeah.
Then you go down and it's kind of like a fallout shelter,
Yeah,
big doors. You
yeah.
can walk all the way into the governor's office. It's kind of
Yeah.
neat.
Yeah.
I'd be upset if they get rid of that. That was
I'm pretty
neat.
sure it's all because of the flood stuff.
Oh, it's too bad.
Probably.
The tunnel they don't miss in Waterbury, except that it took me 10 years to figure out how to get around for everything. But-
Did you ever find the credit union down there?
Oh, yeah, that was easy. I would thought that was gonna be my big work.
Follow the money.
Because remember those things that would hang down?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
I didn't have to worry about it.
I came close a few times. That'd be one heck of a workman's comp claim.
Tell people problem.
Yeah, I can make it to the credit union. Just go downstairs, take a left, and
Okay.
walk.
Cool.
Even
Anything else, MJ?
I don't have anything with Richard. He's really excited to come back.
Good.
And it was funny because he emailed me the day before I was gonna email him, so we both had it on our to-do list about the same time.
Nice.
So we'll lock it in for September 26th.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing, just quickly, it doesn't affect most of us, but it does affect Lynn.
Yeah.
You probably saw the policy about not taking computers out of the
Yes.
country. And there's a special process if we were gonna try to get approval for that, but, so Lynn unfortunately left for Norway before that came out, so she's in Norway now with her computer and can't get on.
And she can't get on email, anything. They blocked Outlook, everything on phones,
Wow.
everywhere.
Like who Canada did it?
It does include Canada
Interesting.
How long is she there for?
until August 5th.
Oh, okay.
She's our traveler.
Mine works where I live. Because every time I go down a certain road in Alberg, I get Verizon, welcome to Canada.
Yeah.
Surprised my computer is welcome to
Yes,
Canada.
does that Richard too?
Well, if see, that would be a different circumstance. Then we would go through all the loops and
Yeah.
loops for you to.
She travels there a lot. She has family that live there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her mother and sister are in Norway, in Oslo, Norway.
And she used to do hearings from there.
She did.
Everything's getting cracked down a lot more.
Interesting.
Okay, August schedule.
I sent you my date,
What's it?
the 14th, my
14th.
father's
Yeah.
95th birthday.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I am on Lake Champlain next week.
Cool. What are you doing there?
We rented an
Scuba diving?
Airbnb right on the lake.
Is it? Where?
Yeah. In Georgia, Vermont.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah,
So just from when to when?
Monday to Friday next week.
Okay.
They don't have internet at this Airbnb?
They do, but I'll have teenagers and my friends are
Are they
gonna be
driving?
there.
Are they driving?
Oh, gosh, no. Well, not, no. And we'll have a house full, so I think it would just be really difficult to try to,
So no Tuesday the 6th.
right.
Okay.
But I can do some extra days to make up
Yeah.
for it. But the 13th is fine,
Okay.
and then the 20th is fine. Yeah, so I can still do the 8th, or no, sorry, I can still do the 13th,
20.
the
Yeah.
20th, and I could
27th.
probably pick up, the Wednesday or Thursday better.
Tell me.
I can't do the 21st.
Okay.
But I have the Human Services Board that
Yeah.
day.
The 14th, if you
Yeah.
lose Tom that day.
Yeah, I can do the 4th. I can do,
Just an idea.
Yeah.
Throwing it out there for you.
yeah, I can make it up and do the 14th that day.
I don't know who you normally put on Chittenden.
Try not to be normal about anything as much as possible.
Yeah.
Well, I may be throwing Burlington PMP on that day.
Okay.
Because now that we put Bennington, which I forgot to switch, forgot to put them on the
Yeah.
15th.
Yeah.
It's now making that schedule.
POs.
Aren't there?
Days.
You have Burlington on here twice, right?
Normally the violations are on Wednesday and the regular hearings are on Thursday.
Gotcha.
Anybody else have any dates? Sam, how are you doing?
You're muted.
I'm not around on the 8th, but I can do any other day. We have daycare starting the 19th and I'm going back to work part-time. So
Okay.
put me on for whatever you need except for the 8th and we're good.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Hey, Pat.
Good.
Okay. And we got our staff meeting on the 27th. Okay. Anything else, MJ?
Do we want the 27th? Do we want that to be in person or Teams, or do we want
Yeah.
to wait?
Um,
I'm gonna have chapters to review that day.
Why don't we continue with our summer in person if everyone's
Okay.
okay with that?
Mhm.
And we'll keep the overflow day as usual?
Yep.
Okay, great.
I have this weird feeling that we're gonna pick back up come September, October.
Yeah.
We're gonna get over the summer vacation, the summer, and also with this new Pearl summary coming. I have a feeling we may get an again. Fall.
Well, it's good to be prepared for it.
Yep.
Any month, yeah. Okay. Anyone else have anything? Okay, I think we are all set. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Thank you.
Wait,
Good to see you, Sam.
I got a couple emails.
Bye, Sam.
that-
Bye, guys.
The Revolutionary War soldiers. A lot of people.
Have a good day.
I got an email yesterday on this matter.
Good.
And
I have a question. Has there ever been a situation that's come up